Hey gamers, and welcome to our first episode of Gone Gaming. As I described, if you guys have been followers of my Gone Gwenting channel, we're launching a totally new channel here called Gone Gaming. The purpose of this is to get more people engaged in online gaming. And I think the first and best people for you to do in that process is your family. Now, if your family is at all like mine, you love playing board games, card games, whatever, it's a good time to sit down, if nothing else, to get out some of your anxiousness and competitiveness towards one another in a discreet environment where doing that is a fun activity. You also get some time where you get to sit down if you have kids, if you have parents, if you have grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, stepbrothers, stepsisters, foreign exchange students that live in your house, whatever. These can be great times to sit down. And if you are like me, you might be in a lockdown situation, or you might just be trying to take precautions, or you might just be living half the world away from your family or friends, and gaming online in these recognizable games might be one of the best ways you can communicate and have fun in a productive way with your friends and family. And the first game I want to cover is the classic Settlers of Catan. So just recently, Settlers has launched a new online game. This is a little bit different from the Settlers HD that some of you might have played, where you can do pass and play. Instead, this game is wholly focused on the online play. Now, there are some pros and cons to that, and I'm going to get right into that. So, first thing, you need to set up an account. So I've set up an account. Some of you guys might see me in some of my other videos. My longtime name here has been Slayer. I came up with this when I was like 8 years old. And as all of you guys, as fellow gamers know, you just gotta kind of ride that into the sunset. As I'm starting new games, I'm gonna be using Gone Gaming as my entry name, just so you guys can have a bit more consistency in the naming here. But that's just generally how it's gonna work. So you're gonna enter the game, you're gonna sign up for your account. There's a few things you can do. You can add your friends. So you're gonna come up here to the top left. As you can see, they're at 2.0 now. They're making some really helpful changes. But you have a friends list. These are my friends and family that I play this game with. You can go ahead and search in here for a specific person, but that's how you're going to connect with people. Really important. If you do not know someone, you're just gonna type them in. Let's see if there is a Gone Gaming. There is no one named Gone Gaming. Turns out I could have done it, but we are where we are. So that's just something that you need to do to start this off with. They also have created guilds that you can join. You can do in-game messages. It's been built out quite a bit in the last few weeks. So if you played this a few weeks ago and you were kind of disenthused by the crashing servers, know that you can get back on here, have a bit more fun, and not have to worry about that. So they did when they first launched this, in case some of you guys are wondering, have some problems with server overloads. But they are now caught up and back at it. So, the biggest caveat I will say with this Settlers game, it is free to play for the first time in a very limited sense. You can play the base game, and you're going to wonder, well, how do I know which one's the base game? So your bottom options here are the different game modes. The base game right here, you can play, and if you want to do an online game, basically you're going to come to custom match. You're going to go to add player. Your friend list is going to pop up first. You can insert their name here. Now, if you have not added them as a friend on that prior screen I just showed, they will not show up here. So you need to add them as a friend beforehand. Once you have added them, you're just going to go ahead and click on their name, and it will send them an invite. Looks like one of my friends is already in an invite, but that's how you would add them. It'll show up as a notification on the top right of their in-game screen. They will click on join match, and it will allow you guys to play a match. So, but if you are free to play, you can only play with 3 people in the base game. Now, I'm going to be doing some future follow-up videos on Settlers of Catan, but just know the base game is the one that most of us have probably played with. It only allows for up to 4 people. It does not include any of the Cities and Knights expansion or the Seafarers expansion. So there's no boats, there's only settlements and cities, there's nothing else. It's pretty fun. we all love base game, but some of you who have played those other expansions might be feeling a little bit like I did, which was, oh, this would be a little bit more fun if they had X or Y or Z included in here. If that is the case, you're going to want to come to the shop in the top right, and you are going to want to buy some of these expansions. So first off, I do want to note the expansions are all listed on the bottom here. So this first one, this is base game on the far left. Then you have Seafarers, Cities and Knights. These are called special scenarios. So special scenarios are Enchanted Land, and you're going to see this here when you come to create a new match, but these are the maps: Enchanted Land and Great Canal. And then finally we have Rise of the Incas. Rise of the Incas is super fun, totally different kind of game than the other ones. I'll be doing a video on that just so you guys can see, hey, is that worth investing in? Personally, I think so. I've had a lot of fun playing it. Something for you guys to look into yourself. So, and then finally here, we're gonna have Rivals of Catan. So this is kind of a totally separate game. This one is only 2 players. It is actually more of a card game than a board game. It plays totally differently. It is quite a bit of fun, but it's pretty complicated. So I would recommend definitely spending some time doing the tutorial. So now some of you may ask, what about tutorials? They actually have tutorials, helpfully, for each of these games. So in the base game, which is what we're going to be starting off with today, you're just going to go ahead and click on the tutorial and play this. I will say though, when you first create an account and start the game, it's going to force you into the tutorial, so you're going to do this on your own. But this is where you're first going to land. It's going to land on this page. It's going to say click me to continue, and you can go ahead and click through this tutorial. So if you've never played Catan before, if you have a friend or family member who's like mom, dad, brother, sister, stepbrother, friend, hated enemy that I just want to take my wrath out on, I don't care who you are, and you've had this video shared with you so that you could better learn Settlers of Catan, just know that this tutorial does a pretty good job of walking you through the basics. I'm just going to add a couple of things onto this that you might find pretty helpful. So basically, this game is different from other games you're going to play. This one only requires 6 victory points. Normally, you're going to need 10 victory points. But if you can just follow the rest of this tutorial, you're going to end up in a decent shape. I want to actually focus more than doing this first game on this very first video and describing how exactly you can navigate the menus. So let's say you start this tutorial and you're like me, you've played this game hundreds of times, you know exactly how Settlers works, and you say, I don't need to go through this chapter, I don't need to pick where my settlement goes, and I definitely don't need some tutorial computer showing me that I should be building on this 5, 9, and 10. Now, if this is your first time, you're gonna be like, well, what are you talking about? But I would want to build on this 6, 10, and 9. So there's no way I'm doing this. Well, you're gonna open up this menu in the bottom left, you're gonna press the door, and you're gonna go back to the main menu. And that is how you're gonna get out of this tutorial. You're also gonna get further prompts to do tutorials for the other game modes. You can exit out of those. So, but the next thing I do wanna say, there's 2 types of in-game currency. There are these gold coins that you can purchase for money, and there are scrolls. Scrolls will give you 24-hour access to each of the expansions, so you can play them each, as I said, for 24 hours. Now, the scrolls will also give you access to the multiplayer. The multiplayer will also allow you, once you've bought these or you're using a scroll, to play 4 people in a game. So that can be a really helpful way that you can play. Sometimes the server does that, but you can go ahead and reconnect pretty easily now. So in Seafarers, it will allow you to do this tutorial, and you can also choose some of these other matches. And you can use your scroll to unlock that for 24 hours. But alternatively, if you're like, look, I know all the expansions, I just want to play these ad infinitum without ever having to worry about it ever again, then the way you're going to want to do this is by buying some of these bundles and expansions. The way I would suggest doing this, if you are somebody who wants to buy all of the expansions like I did, plan on spending this $25, right? So this is cheaper than buying one board game for Settlers of Catan. This is a much more efficient way of purchasing all of these different expansions. The one caveat I will say is if you want to play with other people in your household, they are also going to have to buy this in-game currency. Settlers is different from many of the other games we're going to cover on this channel for that pure and simple fact. You cannot just jump in, pay the $25, and then have a family member on a shared, I use Apple for example, and use a shared family account and have them get access to that same purchase as well. Instead, they are going to have to buy it. They will have to come to these bundles, and they are going to have to buy them themselves. Looks like it's frozen a little bit here. Not sure what's going on with that. But just know that that is basically how this is going to have to work. It might not work for me because I've already bought all this stuff. Server is having problems. Alright. So you're just basically going to want to come to these expansions. I'm just not getting any love today. Okay, so I know I said that their servers don't have as many problems. That was a bit of a lie. You may notice this sometimes in game. What I like to do is I'll put on a separate phone call or a Skype or a FaceTime so I can talk to my family members while I'm playing with them. And sometimes somebody will notice one of the other players will just suddenly get a kick timer. For whatever reason, you know, they've improved the interface of the game, but the servers are still having this problem. What you have to do is close the game and reopen it. So we're just gonna get right back at this. So you can come into the shop here, you can buy these bundles. What I suggest doing is actually getting this board game bundle. I don't love this big bundle. You do not need the 7-day XP booster or the scroll, but you can buy that if you want to. You'll see I'm no longer allowed to buy these because I've bought in several of them. When you buy all of the games with that $25 pack, you're also going to get enough 500 extra so that you can get like either Viking game set or the Avatar bundle, which I did. I got this Viking bundle just so I could change the look of my character because I had some extra coin. But this board game bundle is the one I would get first. It is going to give you the full expansion with all of the maps. The full base game with all of the maps, cities and knights, and seafarers. And then what you're also going to do is you're going to come here to expansions, and I would buy special scenarios for Enchanted Land and Great Canal. And then I would also buy Rise of the Inca. I love Rise of the Inca. I think it's totally worth the investment. Rivals of Catan, on the other hand, I don't know. It's quite a bit of a different game. If you're only playing with 2 people, candidly, I like Gwent more. That's why I run my Gone Gwenting channel. But if you really love Rivals of Catan, or you like Catan, you'd like to play Rivals, go ahead and get that one. But I will say, if you only want those 3 base games, you can just go ahead and get this $15 1700 pack, and then add on a couple hundred extra for $1 each. That can save you just a little bit of money. If you're looking to spare every dollar that you can to just get those expansions that you want. Otherwise, by playing the game and leveling up, you're going to earn scrolls. So if you just like to play online by yourself, then one way to do that is just kind of come in here, create a game, start it out, and have some fun. One thing I will say next is to get in here and just start your own game. So I'm gonna walk this through. This is gonna be the last part of the game, or the last part of this movie. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna load up, press the game, and if you're doing free to play, remember you can only have 3 people. You're gonna come custom match, add a player, and if you just wanna play with a computer, you come in here, you can type in their name. I like the look of Candemir, let's say. and I like to play against veteran. Master is a little bit difficult, and then you can add in a friend and play with a computer, or you can add in 2 computers. We'll add in Gene. Now again, if you do not have the purchased game, you can only play with 3 people. It will still show this add player for people who have bought it, but if you have not, if one of your friends is playing and they have not bought the game, you cannot add a 4th person. Each person who is participating needs to have that. So I don't love this element. I find it a little bit annoying compared to some of the other games we're going to be walking through here on this Gone Gaming channel. But again, Settlers is a classic. You know, people got to eat. They got to pay their rent. So, you know, I didn't feel much regret in paying for it because I know that Settlers is such a well-constructed game. I will say that I'd like for them to step up their server game. It is a little dismal at times. Then a couple other things. You can't change any of these when you have not purchased the game. They are all preset, but you can actually change the map. You can do Ore for Wool. You can turn on a 100-second turn timer. You can also turn on Friendly Robber. What's Friendly Robber? Friendly Robber is when a 7 is rolled and then robber would normally get placed, or a night card display. The robber may not be moved to a terrain hex that is adjacent to a settlement or city of a player who only has 2 victory points. So basically, you can't put a robber onto any of the resources that someone is next to if they have not built another settlement, if they have not taken 3 nights or built the longest road. Anything that basically happens after maybe two or 3 rounds. So in the first couple of rounds, you cannot place the robber on anyone's terrain hexes, which means you can't steal their stuff. They can't be blocked from getting resources. All stuff to keep in mind. Then finally, for those of you who get really frustrated with the, shall I say, vicissitudes of dice rolling, this dice mode card stack will essentially cause the dice rolls to be generated via a virtual stack of 36 cards that contain the possible dice results. Dice results will therefore be closer to the probability distribution which is expected after a significant number of dice rolls. So basically, the way that this is going to work is it's going to provide, it's going to take from a larger pool. You've taken statistics before. You know that the larger the population, the more normal, the better the distribution will be along the expected probability. Basically here meaning when you play this game, you're not going to play a game where you get 10 12s and 4 5s, right? Which is highly annoying to people who look and see and expect to get more resources from a dice roll that is more likely to occur. But that's something I like to activate. So I've activated these things. I know what I want to do. I go ahead, I get in here. Now, when you create a custom match, you do have to have a human opponent. Otherwise, you'll just click on single player. If you just want to play this on your own. And then you will just click on Ore for Wool, start a new game. You get to pick how many computers to play against. I'm going to say, you know, I just like to play against 3. Turn timer is irrelevant because it's only against yourself. And then you're going to go ahead and start that game. When it starts, I just want to point out this. I like this Settlers game because it feels like you're playing Settlers at a table. Again, these aren't like the most sophisticated graphics in the world, but you can zoom in and out using 2 fingers, pinch and zoom. Then you can also use the same fingers and move them both together up and down, and that will change the tilt of the board so you can see what's going on. And then you can use 1 finger to slide around and look around the board. You can then see by scaling down what your opponents still have. You can see that I have, with the right angle here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15 roads, 5 settlements, and 5 cities. If you are playing this for the first time and you're like, what is he talking about? Don't worry about it. We're going to cover this in some future videos. But just know that that is basically how you can orient yourself with the board. And then whenever you want to make decisions in this, the tutorial is going to walk you through this a little bit better. Now I'm just having some trouble moving this around because I forgot to only press with 1 finger. But just know that whenever you are trying to make these decisions. The tutorial is going to explain it to you, but you're going to first pick your first settlement, place that with the check mark, then the road. The computers will go really pretty quickly. You can see what they're doing, and if they are just dragging things out, you are annoyed. You can come to the settings and you can change the AI speed to really fast. Just say, I am very bored with what he's doing. I just want him to hurry up and go. I can see it pretty fast. That's fine with me. And then you can make the final play. Again, we're going to walk through with all of these things, how you play the game, beyond what the tutorial describes to you, and in kind of a real game format, so that you guys can get a better sense for how Settlers of Catan should be played if you want to win. And that's what we're going to cover here on Gone Gaming. Thank you guys so much for joining for this, our first episode. As always, if you have seen my Gone Gwenting channel, and as you will see in all of these future videos, I love when you guys can leave comments. Please subscribe for future content. Leave a like so we can drive this video higher up so more people can see it, get engaged, leave their thoughts, and steer us to new, better games that we can play during these lockdown times. I know that all of our friends and families will appreciate getting together, playing games together, finding a good way to unwind. And I know if you guys can do this like I did, you'll have a lot more fun. But in the meantime, get out there and go gaming.